If you watched my rundown of clean flight controllers, you know that I picked the XRacer F303 as the one I would buy. And now I've put my money where my mouth is, and I bought some of them, and I have actually done an install in a copter, and I can give you a little bit more of an in-depth rundown of what that experience was like, as opposed to just looking at the specs. The short version is that the F303 is still my favorite flight controller, but it's not perfect. Somebody make the perfect flight controller. Not quite there yet. Uh, One of the things about the F303, as you may know, is that it doesn't support VBAT. It doesn't have the VBAT pin broken out. So if you want to use VBAT monitoring, and now there's this new VBAT PID adjustment feature that people are saying is really amazing. So VBAT is now more than just a convenience feature if you've got an OSD. It's actually a flight performance feature. If you want VBAT monitoring, you have to solder a teeny tiny wire to this teeny tiny pin, and it is pretty hard to do. I felt really proud of myself when I accomplished this. And then I went, oh, there's my dog. Then I went and I hot glued it and prayed that it would never come undone again. What a hassle. And then I had to build a voltage divider, and I did it with through-hole components because I don't have surface mount components sitting around. If I were to do it with surface mount components, of course, it would be a little smaller. And then I had to find a way to secure it to the board, and it's taking up space, and that's kind of annoying. So fortunately, version 2 of the board is coming out. It's actually, I think I saw in a comment from FPV Model, it's coming out in about a week or so, and version 2 of the board will have the VBAT pin broken out. Very nice. Unfortunately, I already bought these, but hey, what are you going to do? So that problem is going to go away. The other complaint that I have about the board, and it's a tiny quibble, but they don't break out the buzzer to holes. They just break them out to tiny little pads. So you got to use some wires to solder your buzzer. And I kind of didn't want my buzzer just flopping around on the end of some wires. So I came up with an idea where I actually soldered the positive pin of the buzzer to a spare motor header positive pin. So it gets 5 volts from there instead of from the buzzer plus pad. And that gives it some mechanical mounting. I added a little hot glue to reinforce it so it wasn't just sitting on that pin. And then just soldered the negative line over to the negative buzzer pad. And that's not great, but it's not terrible. One other thing about this board that is worth calling out is that it does have the CP210 chip built in. Now the upside is that you don't have to use the virtual COM port, which a lot of people have trouble with. Now, when I used the Lux, I didn't have any trouble with it. I got the drivers working, worked just fine. But a lot of people have trouble that they just cannot solve with it. And so that's a good thing for you. But also, you know, I've been working with the Lux for the last couple weeks, and I kind of got used to having 3 UARTs, and it was really nice. You'll notice that I'm doing telemetry and black box and serial RX. And the first time I armed my copter and I lost access to my configurator because telemetry took over from MSP, I thought, maybe this VCP thing is not so bad. You know, now granted, we can't do BL heli pass through VCP yet, so I still feel like this is a good thing. But it certainly is nice to have that extra UART and not have it conflicting with MSP. Again, somebody make the perfect flight controller that does everything I want and is also only like $20. Yeah, right. Anyway, so there's a little trade-off there. Overall, I still feel like this board is my favorite. I like the physical layout. I like the fact that it has the gyro with the lower noise spec. I don't mind the fact that it caps out at 2 kilohertz. As higher frequency sampling rates and faster loop times become more commonplace, you know, we may find that there are big flight performance advantages there. For the time being, I feel like 2 kilohertz is very, very good, and I don't feel like giving up some of the other stuff I would have to give up to go to a board that had the SPI gyro. So personally, that's where I come down. May change my mind in the future if it turns out that 8 kilohertz sampling is just the best thing since sliced bread. So that's a little rundown of what it's like to actually put this board in a copter. I'm not going to really do a rundown of the tuning characteristics because we've been tuning the 6050 gyro forever, and I don't think there are really any surprises to be had there. Oh, hey, one more thing about this board that people have complained about, and that is some people don't like the fact that there's not a header here for the Spectrum satellite connector. You have to solder basically your wires direct to these three pads. Some people would rather there was a little micro header to plug into. I'm not sure about that one. You certainly, oh, you're going to save a fraction of a gram by direct soldering. That's a good thing. But gosh, it would only cost them, surely it would only cost them a fraction of a cent to put the header on there. And it's not like this is the kind of soldering anybody's really going to be able to do at home if they did want to put a header on there. So it might have been better if they had chosen to put the header on there, and then you could always just desolder it if you really felt like it. I don't know. That's a little quibble. A lot of people are flying FrSky anyway nowadays, and it's not really an issue. But there you go. All right, well, hope that was helpful. Hope that was informative. Happy flying.